Thanks for coming, everyone. Excited to see everybody here. Disappointing loss. It's like a broken record here, standing here. I understand that. Talking to the team and addressing the team and being with the team. One of the real paramount concepts and mentalities is, the fact that everybody's so spectacularly disappointed. And that's not a bad thing. So when turned upside down, you see a lot of investment, and you see a lot of belief, and you see very high expectations, and you see a real belief in those high expectations. And then you try hard and it doesn't work out exactly like you thought it would, or even close to as you thought it would. That's what creates an overwhelming amount of emotional disgust and strain. So the answer to that is definitely not to lower our expectations. It's definitely not to not expect good things to happen to you. It's definitely not to float around without goals, because if in the event that you don't achieve them, you're not disappointed. That's not how to live. That's not how to live. That's not where we are right now. And that was where we were as a program. So there were no expectations for victory, or little, and nobody was disappointed. You lose a game, you lost a game. If you weren't expecting to win a bunch of games, then who cares that you lost? So expecting to win and straining to win and preparing to win and having expectations that are high, although can be painful when you don't achieve, that's not a reason to not have those. You have to, as a young man in particular, you have to continue to expect greatness and strain for those things. So, as we reconnected, it was clear I was preaching to the choir, and our culture is strong. So where a week ago, I really don't read much. It ripples back to me. I have no real issue with it. I know that when you're not doing well, that the storylines are negative because there's nothing really. It is what it is. I got that, and I mean, it doesn't. I know what business I'm in, and it doesn't necessarily bother me. It really doesn't. So, and I respect it. I don't have an issue with it, especially when it's well written or well said, and honest. So. The guys came back and strained hard and believe, and our culture is still intact. And 2 weeks ago, as we mentioned, there was a little concern, which was a little bit of what I was talking about yesterday. I know Joe D picked up on the thread, which is fine. It's all good, and took a little bit of a not offense, but attacked the quote, which is, I understand. But 2 weeks ago, the defense played 9 minutes of football that were concerning for me to watch, and some other plays that were very concerning for me to watch, from an energy and an effort standpoint, from a discipline in their fits, now you'd have to watch it every. You'd have to know exactly what they were supposed to do and watch it, with that level of detail. Not that you didn't, but I saw a little bit of effort concern. I saw some guys doing their own thing, which was a concern, and And that was concerning because it shows a problem, a culture problem. And upon addressing it, and then going to the practice week, and then watching them play in the game Saturday, left me excited that that wasn't a problem. That they had made the improvement and made the correction from Central Florida to East Carolina. So, and that's true. And that's true. And it was even statistically relevant. You could look at the score if you want, and see a different story. Or you could look at the game cast, even just in black and white, and see two different stories. So at 13 minutes to play in the Central Florida game, just sheer points, there's 21 points. And with basically 5 minutes to play in the third quarter, there's 17 points. So just even that sheer number, that at the end of, with 50 seconds to play in the first half last weekend, or even before that, with 4 minutes to play in the first half, our offense is set up on the plus 20-yard line, and it's 1st and 10, and the score's 7-0. Would you consider that to be a ball game? I would. And there's a lot of examples of a score with 50 seconds left that should have never happened. There shouldn't be a drive with 50 seconds left. So there's a lot of moments like that for the defense that I had an opportunity to watch and be excited about. Not excited about the score, not excited about the loss, but there's a lot of elements that were improved from last week to this week. And that's true. It might hurt you to hear, but it doesn't make it any less true. And specifically, one moment there, the ball turns over on the 5-yard line. They take the field on a +5. It's 31 points on the board. The game is into the fourth quarter. Everyone still has their ones in. This wasn't a next man in situation. And the defense goes out there like they had every down. They played their hearts out, they did their job, and they got a stop. They forced a field goal. Where I don't know how many units would have gone out under those circumstances and performed like that. I think it would be very few. So that's what led me to talk about that phase as being improved, and it was. And it was. The other phase was the special teams. And that, again, just raw statistics, not anything that I've crafted or created. Central Florida, we had a gross punt of 35 yards and a net punt of 31 yards. And the gross punt and the net punt average was 42.5 and 42.8, respectively, from Central Florida to East Carolina. So that was an area that I was very excited had improved. We punted the ball 5 times in the one game and with 1 fair catch. And then we punted the ball 4 times with 3 fair catches. So much improved in that area. That was very, very pleasing to see. Kickoff coverage maintained a wash statistically, and the kickoff return was dramatically improved. I want to say it was about 10 yards more per return as it relates to that phase. So now did a devastating play happen? Absolutely. The kickoff return fumbled the ball, which was a real catalyst to the points getting to the point that they were. But the coverage teams, the kicking teams, and then a couple of nice returns led me to say that we were improved in that area, which I believe to be true. And so, like I said, we're at a point now where everybody's straining and trying as hard as we can. I enjoyed this room. I enjoy all you guys and gals. I mean, I don't take offense to it. There's a lot of negative stuff to talk about. So, I'm not expecting, a tiptoe through the daisies routine here. I've been doing this a long time. Which leads me to believe also to my red zone conversation, right? So, talking about the red zone from a few weeks ago, we and not taking an hour to talk about it, but the red zone moves. The red zone moves every week based on fringe, the field goal kicker, and then once you're in there, based on running and passing the football. So those yardages change from week to week. But predominantly, you think, based on 7.5 yards or 8 yards or 7 yards with a hold, your 40-yard field goal, the passing game starts to change at about the 22. That I've always declared the 22 as the beginning of the red zone. As a defensive coach. So when I'm talking about defending, when I was talking that day, I was talking about defending. Talking about the passing game changing, so the defensive mentality, style, all changes. And we play pretty good red zone defense around here. We were one of the best in America in 2015, and if I'm not mistaken, we're one of the best in America again. I think we're number 19 in the country in red zone defense right now, today. So, and that's no different than it's been for the last 7 or 8 years with our red zone system of defense. So when I was talking about the offensive issues with getting down there, I transitioned to a defensive mentality to talk about how I see it down there. And maybe that's the liability, I need a real driver on the other side. So, that's part of our conversation. I come in here and I'm all in. So I want to answer your questions honestly. I do. I will. I'm all about it. I want UConn Nation, frankly, to have a perspective and a picture, whether it's positive or negative. I just want to stand here as an honest agent of what we're trying to do, and answer your questions honestly. And I've always looked forward to it. I do today, and I'll continue to. That's a little bit of where we're at with that. The team's trying hard. The team's playing hard. We made some changes and altered the schedule a bit last week, and I was looking for an uptick, and I saw a bit. But for some reason, offensively, and I'm not sure whether it was that 4th down and 1, and they got stuffed again, and the cookie crumbled for that group over there. It seemed like a defining moment to me right there at the very beginning, which was a sad moment to be 1st and 10 on the 20, have an opportunity to tie the game at 7-7. Another defining moment in the game. Ended a third. I think it ended up with a 3rd down and 3, and an inability to convert there. So another defining moment in the game. But it just became kind of listless. Kind of listless at that point. And with all the things that I've seen so far, whether it be the finish of the Navy game, the finish of the Syracuse game, the ineptness in the red zone, and on. The inability to score touchdowns. Demoted Frank Verducci from offensive coordinator. And he will continue to serve the staff, and his expertise is with the offensive line, so he'll have an expanded role there. He'll continue to coach the tight ends, but he'll also add the tackles to a lot of his daily work and routine. Mike Cummings then will be, a little bit more focused interior rather than with all 5 for the whole time. He'll have a chance to really hone in on the 2 guards and center. That added resource to that room, and the added tight ends into some of that drill work, pass protection, for example, going to one-on-one pass rush for the tight ends. These are all things that can get added, and were added even though, as early as the other day, yesterday. So he, and that's all consuming. He will not organize the staff, personnel, game plan, call. He will not call the game. Any aspect of coordinating and organizing that side of the ball. He's an absolute pro and a great, great guy. He's a man I've known since I was 14 years old. So he wants the best for our football team. He wants the best for our young men. He wants the best specifically for our staff. He's a good man, and he's got a strong football mind, and it's not all on him. It's not all on him. So we'll elevate David Corley into that role. Super excited about it for more reasons than just one. He is a very accomplished quarterback through his whole life in driving offense. So looking at that group, David is a guy that has had great success as the trigger puller, quarterback, and offensive driver of many teams that have had profound success. The culmination of that shows a career accolade of being in the Hall of Fame at William and Mary. He's one of the most accomplished offensive productive players in college football history. These are all things, obviously, you go back and dial up. But more importantly than that, too, his suggestions this year have really been spot on. They've been some of the better moments in games, some of the better plays in games. His suggestions in game that I get a chance to listen to have been on point and spot on, and has a real good feel for that. Now, with all that said, it's an incredibly challenging circumstance that he's going to be taking over. So I really don't want to put an incredible amount of pressure on him that way. He's been a great worker. The things that he's been asked to lead have been high performing for the last better part of almost 3 years. So I've been very pleased with his productions, and I don't want to necessarily, hold him completely accountable here in the final 4 weeks with 3 games under the circumstances that he's in right now. But his response to being asked if he was interested was just as you would think it would be. High-level competitor. Absolutely. Can you do it? Definitely. Do you see it as a burden or do you see it as an opportunity? Oh, this is an opportunity, Coach. What a great opportunity. I'm excited about this opportunity. I mean, it was just really kind of heartwarming. And no matter whether it's in 4 days, 4 weeks, or 4 years, he's going to be a star in our profession. So I do want to just say that unequivocally. He's a very talented coach, and I'm looking forward to him driving. It's going to be awesome. With that, there's a very good amount of accountability that needs to rest on the quarterback. That surely hasn't been a help. It's been, pretty underwhelming for the better part of the year, as you guys have all seen. I have not seen it. So this change is gonna help facilitate that position. It's gonna help, create some tactical layers for that position, and we're all focused on that position this week, and excited about creating some things for the position to improve. So that's the point we're at right now. The team seems very excited about this new dynamic. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of positive attitude and energy. The kicking game is on point. The defense is super excited. They're again, the culture is strong, and the offense seems like the light, kind of came back on in their eyes, yesterday. So I'm excited about that. And then with that said, we're gonna close practice today. Again, I mean no offense. Just in terms of a focus, just to give the guys an opportunity to really drill down and focus on the task at hand. So, questions?
Is it difficult to make that change, Bob, on a short week like this?
It's difficult to make the change at any time. So it's obviously not something that I wanted to do, but very necessary. Very necessary. I don't know, Joe, how considering what's gone on through 9 weeks, no matter what was thrown at the wall, how it would have been believable from an energy and belief and confidence standpoint.
Do you anticipate there'll be a significantly different look to the offense Friday?
I don't think there'll be we can do what we can do at this point with our offensive players. So they're good at particular things and not good at particular things, David is really, really talented, and he's going to be a real icon in our profession, but he's not a magician.
Bob, have you spent more time pep talking your team than you really wanted to?
Not that I wanted to, Joe.
I thought you might have to.
No, I know what you mean. I'd say no. I'd say I think there's a significant portion of the day that needs to be allocated to the development of the minds of young people. I wish more work would have been done with me when I was that age, and I look forward to that job each day. Whether we were undefeated or 3-6 is the circumstance we're in now. I look forward to that work, to try to energize young people and shape their frame of mind.
I'm sure there's a percentage in all this in this answer, but on the offense, what concerns you the most? Play calling, execution by the offensive line, protection, or execution by the skill players?
No, I can answer for sure the skill players. I feel really good about their development, and the tight ends' role isn't because of tight ends. They've developed. They're all better than they were. All the skill has improved. Eric has done a beautiful job with that group, and they themselves have. And it's a talented group, and they work hard. That group is really a strong group, including the backs. I add in Arkel, Ron, Jason, Jacavius, and Nate. Those guys are all really strong, and they're improve every day. I would say, a big part of things was, and I don't want to make something up, and I don't want to pile on, right? Because this is done. So, we're interested in running what I would consider to be a Northeast UConn recipe for winning, and I still believe it. And it looks like a particular brand of football, and I think that brand of football gives us the very best opportunity to win. And I still believe that. I think that's how you play up here. Especially considering the last time we played at home was 42 degrees and sideways rain. And who knows what it's going to be Friday night, and then on and on as you get into November and October, which is a good thing. It's a positive for a team up here. That's why it's hard to come from the south to the north and compete. Patriots show it all the time. So when the offensive line struggled to protect that line of scrimmage and reset that line of scrimmage, it became a big problem. And the inability for the coordinator to manage our quarterback's liabilities and accentuate his assets, and then the inability for the quarterback to manage and help facilitate our coordinators' liabilities and help the assets, then became added another layer. So there's some line of scrimmage work that needed to get done based on defensive looks that didn't get done. There's some in post snap work with the quarterback that needed to get done, i.e. throwing the ball down the field. I mean, if you put 9 guys in the box and you match them on the perimeter and the players are behind their players, you got to send it down the field. You got to be able to send it down the field to get that to loosen up. So when those things didn't happen, it just started to move from there. So I definitely think that there's a piece as it relates to not being able to reset the line of scrimmage that caused an issue. And I definitely have to also go into play call. Absolutely. I mean, there's some things that I saw every week that were being addressed, thought they were being addressed, that just continued to, it was either that continued or something else continued or some other nonsensical moment. So you guys watched them, I watched them, I tried each week to manage it, and then there was another, and another, and another, you know. I mean, there's, as you said, you know, you got a zone and the perimeter controls on the other side, rather than out in front. You have, we all know how the Navy game finished. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean, I've defended a lot of games as a player and coach. I don't think I've ever seen a hide screen on play one. So as a defensive coach, I don't know that I've ever defended a hide screen on play one, me personally. And maybe we will Friday night, but up to this point, I hadn't had that opportunity. So.
Can you just talk about how that works with you and your staff as far as the offensive coordinator call to play, and how often would you overrule it, or you put a game plan obviously going into the game? I mean, how does that work between you and your coordinator?
Yeah, I can answer that for you. So specifically, and each week's a little different, especially when it becomes harder and harder to move the ball, your role increases. But I've always felt like that if I continue to do what I'm really good at, you know, that we would have a chance to win the football games. That if I didn't do that, it would be hard. So if we could keep the points down, you know, you're in every game. So my main focus is on the players and their culture and our culture and their development and helping that piece. So their physical development, their skill development, their intellectual development, and so on. So I spent a good portion of the day, or some part of the day, working on that. Then the lion's share of the rest of the day is spent on defense. So I do a lot with the defense. I put together a lot of the defense. I pre-call a lot of the defense. I'm heavily handed with the defense at practice. I specifically coach the linebacker position on a day-to-day basis. And then in the back end, at the end of my day, and the beginning of the next day, I grade the offensive tape. So I grade the offensive tape, and then I meet with the offense early the next morning of each day. And we meet, and before there's offensive tape to grade, we meet about vision. But it's not more than a vision conversation. It's not more than a vision conversation. So we meet on vision, and they go to work doing their thing, and I go to work doing my thing. And then I double back and grade and look to see, hey, could this help? Could this help? Think about this. And each day, for probably the better part of about 90 minutes, we then will go through the grades, what we saw, what concerned me, what I liked, what I didn't like, and create some kind of, again, some big picture, visionary thoughts. And then they go to work game planning and structuring. I built the staff that way also, so I added a coach into that room, and there's very little responsibilities that come from that room. They are all coaching offense. They recruit their recruiting areas and they coach offense. The special teams aren't in that room. The recruiting's not. The organization of recruiting's not in that room. So they really can focus on that, knowing from an allocation of funds, allocation of time funds, that we're all balanced. That we're balanced. So there's 5 and 4, knowing me that I have a percentage, 70%, 80%, I don't know, on the defensive side, the special team side. So that's pretty much the day.
Then on game day, it pretty much goes with the coordinator calls. That's kind of what you stick with, pretty much.
Yeah, on game day, the offensive staff runs the game. On game day, the offensive staff has spent the lion's share of the week. I'm hopeful it's the vision that we've all decided on, and they go, and it's not any different than I experienced when I was the coordinator. So it was the same model. The guy that I worked for was the offensive coach. He coached the quarterback, and he was the offensive coordinator. And I coached the defense. And it worked. Worked really well.
Bob, are you confident that your overall model in 2016-17 going forward, in terms of the overall game? Because back in the Big East, I mean, Randy Edsel ran some pretty conservative stuff, but there were teams that seemed to fit more like the way you played. And then, now you're in a conference now that these teams, they have holes, but they also have this like dynamic offenses that just pop and hurt you, and it becomes like a race for points. And
Yeah.
I was trying to take your organization and your vision versus kind of sometimes some of these teams almost seem willy-nilly, but they throw up a lot of points. And
No, Jeff, and that's kind of what I was talking about. I know Neil picked up on the thread the other day. And when I said, 2016 you need points, well, just taking that blurb, it looks like it's nonsensical. No kidding. But in conversation of what I was saying, when I played, there was a bushel basket of games that ended 6-3, 7-0, 10-7. 14-10. I mean, a bushel basket. Now, you see a score like that, it's like, what? I mean, it's a rarity. You get to the end of the first quarter and it's 27-24, 24-21. So that's kind of where, and specifically the rules are built to score. So if what you're inferring, and I can't discredit it, because you're exactly right, should the model begin to change? I'd like some of the other things to change. I don't think the offenses should be able to run a play every 6 seconds. I'm disappointed that we added another official and he runs the ball in and out when it was said nationally that the game wasn't going to increase. We were going to be more safe and not speed the game up. Well, the game sped up, and he runs the ball and spots it and runs out as fast as he can. That wasn't the intention. So you think about a game where upset about points, you're upset about the score. How could the defense have played? How could you say the defense played better? We defended another quarter and a half. They had 90 plays. We had 68 plays. I mean, so you're exactly right. A little bit. I do believe that you have to be able. I do believe you have to be able to run the football with authority. At UConn to win a championship. How exactly that gets done, you might consider looking at. Whether it's done with the movement plug, whether it's done, spread triple option style, or whether it's done with big tight ends. I do also believe, Jeff, that the players in the Northeast that we can acquire and develop are guys like we have right now. They're super tough, they're super smart, and they're big, long lever guys. We have big linemen. Maybe they started as tight ends. I mean, Matt Parrott, when we met him, was 250 pounds. Now he's 310 pounds. So we have 4 or 5 great tight ends. So I mean, in terms of the acquisition of talent and the war on talent, there's a lot of big backs up here that are tough and rugged. You know, we could get backs and run that kind of ball. And so I do believe yes, but I also believe that based on how the rules have changed, I mean, not long ago, not many years ago, you couldn't leave the line of scrimmage to throw the ball downfield. Now, your player can be 3 yards downfield with his back foot. Andreas is 6'7". So how far does he look at downfield with the back part of him at 3 yards downfield? I mean, he's 5 yards downfield, and it's still a legal play. And you can throw the ball across the line of scrimmage. So now, that's created a circumstance where you really can't play zone. You got to be tied down and on body, which is volatile points. So you see these points just continue to rise with the clock changes, with the allowing linemen to go downfield, and the invention of run pass option offense, RPO, which is all the rage. So there's a lot of things producing points right now, and you definitely are going to have to evolve and keep up with that. But I do believe definitely a piece of this New England, Connecticut, Randy Edsall had it model of run the ball with authority, be able to control the game and control the field and control the clock when you need to is a very critical component to winning here.
Folks, we got a larger number of players that we're bringing in.
Yeah, so what the other thing was, so I didn't crush that piece for you. I'm really trying. I'm really trying. So, I got a large group of players back there. You got some great guys, there's 6, 7, 8 guys back there. And I brought David Corley down so you guys could roast him a little bit.
Just talk a little about Temple, scouting reports, offense, defense.
Yeah, they're the same. I mean, they're a great football team that won the East a year ago. They look very similar. They're on track in the same way. Returned a lot of guys, run the same kind of brand of ball. Not much has changed. So, very similar system, same defense coordinator. It's Coach Rule's offense. The new offense coordinator was the quarterback coach a year ago, so that's similar. Very similar players. Almost everyone returned from the offense a year ago. A lot of the specialists return, and then the defense hasn't changed. They play hard. They play fundamentally sound. They're a darn good football team.
Okay, we'll bring the players down and then we'll Coach Corley in a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.